This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
Look alive, National Panel. Paige and Kalisha, Isola, and Jackie. Just go with it, Jackie. Today,
always.
Everything that is everything you are witnessing here. Old people, you ever flick the wrist? No? You ever been in a cold tub before? I think you have. Good. Also, the NBAs, the Rangers, and FIFA. Well, they FIFA. Let's go around the horn. It looks like a yard sale, but it was actually an arrest and entertainment. Yes. All up in the tub. We'll get to that in a bit. First, LeBron Blatt. Nice to make your acquaintance. Also, no fives for you. And also this, going into this year, only 8 players that made 5 straight NBA Finals. They were all old-timey Celtics. See? That list is now joined by James Jones. All right. Also LeBron James. We'll get to James Jones in a second. But first, Woody, how do you view LeBron today?
I think it's his best playoff run in his entire history of playing in the NBA. I went back and looked at the 2007 team because people are going to say, well, that was the worst team he played with. No, this one's worse. You have a situation with Love out, with Irving being limited in his play, a bunch of rejects and cast off by other team. He carried this team. If you look back to the triple-double that he almost had in this series, his numbers, he has more assists per game and more rebounds per game in this playoffs than he's ever had before, and his scoring is about 5th. And the thing about it is, when you add all that together, he's only playing fewer than 25 minutes a game, Tony.
That last part's wrong. But back to how you started. This is his best postseason?
Going through the conference finals, I don't think he's ever matched this before.
Kalisha, you?
I think short of winning a championship, it is. And if you want to distinguish LeBron James from James Jones, here's how you do it. It's 5 straight NBA Finals and 5 straight NBA All-Star games. That's Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, and LeBron James. That's the entire list of the guys who've done that. But when you look at what LeBron did, in a sense, remember when he agreed to go to Cleveland, he was joining a lottery team. And there were suspicions the team would get better. And, yes, they got Kevin Love. But Kevin Love wasn't great a lot of the season, and Kevin Love missed the last 2 rounds of the playoffs. So in a lot of ways, he did get something very close to a lottery team into the NBA Finals with a 4-game sweep of the Hawks. That's impressive.
Frank Isola.
Well, I also think, if you go back to the first time he made the NBA Finals with Cleveland, he was doing it against a great Detroit Piston team. He had that epic Game 5 on the road. But what we're seeing right now is the best player in the league in the prime of his career at his athletic peak. And they're 12-2 in the playoffs. They were down 2-1 to Chicago. He hit that huge shot in Game 4. They haven't lost since then. And what he does to make everyone else around him better. I mean, J.R. Smith was basically a punchline last season in New York. Now he's become an important member of this team. LeBron makes everybody better. What he does for the economy, he's incredible.
You've covered the NBA for 20 years, right, Frank? You've seen players carry teams before. Would you say this is the most any player's ever carried a team?
24 points. I think so, because they lost Kevin Love, and like what he said, Kyrie Irving has been banged up. What he's done is remarkable.
Jackie Mack, how about you?
No, he has been unbelievable. I'm not ready to say he's Michael Jordan yet, which is the modern-day mark for me. But here's the thing about LeBron, that it's indisputable. You take him from one team and you put him on another team, and instantaneously they're title contenders, regardless of who's on their roster. And there are very few players, maybe he might be the only player in the league right now that you can say that about. It doesn't matter if Kyrie Irving's banged up. It doesn't matter if Kevin Love is there. It doesn't matter if you need him to drive or shoot threes or defend or steal passes or dominate. He can do it.
But Jackie, let me ask you this. How much of this is the conference he's playing in right now?
That's absolutely part of it. But you know what? I'm sure Cousy and Russell, you would say the same thing about them now, wouldn't you? The competition. That's just the way it is.
The coaches he's made the NBA Finals with, Mike Brown, Eric Spoelstra, now David Blatt. I mean, that's
I think David Blatt's better than people give him credit for.
True. Not Phil Jackson, though.
An interesting list.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this, though, for a second. I want to talk a little bit more about the conference that he plays in, okay? Because the calls for reform in playoff seeding are getting louder, right? 1 to 16, rather than the split between 8 and 8. That's what some people are asking for. Tim, do you think the way the Cavs made it through this Eastern Conference suggests there should be reform in playoff seeding?
I would like to see change. I wouldn't like to see radical change 1 through 16 and just do away with all history and never have Eastern Conference playoffs and Western Conference that you can compare players to from them. I would like to see the top the 3 division winners and maybe the 4th team, the best of the teams that doesn't win the division. That would be the top 4 in the East, and you'd have your top 4 in the West, and then the next 8 best teams play wherever, and you might be the San Antonio Spurs playing in the Eastern Conference if you're the 6th seed in the West, and that's okay. You move over to the East and you play those teams, and you get a better balance of
So Tim is pro-reform here. Frank, how about you? You're shaking your head no.
Well, he's partially pro-reform. I mean, to me, it's too confusing. Just have 1 through 16. Really have it 1 through 30. That's the way it should be. I understand why the owners don't want it, because if you're in 27th place, it looks a lot worse than if you're in 5th place in your division. We don't care about the travel. I don't care that, the Clippers might have to play, the Washington Wizards in a playoff series. They have to travel, to New Orleans, Oklahoma City. Those are long trips. Make the best 16 teams. 1 through 16, that's the fairest way to do it.
Now Jackie Mack is shaking her head no.
Come on, that's not the fairest way to do it, Frank. Under your system, that means the #1 Golden State Warriors would have had to come all the way over to Boston to play the Boston Celtics.
They're not traveling by stage, Coach.
That's their reward for being the best team in the NBA. By the way, we do have trains that come into Boston these days now, Frank. So I don't think it's that simple. I don't think you can do it that way, because you can't dismiss the travel like it's no big deal. You're not the player with the sprained ankle that's getting on that plane and flying across the country. It does make it.
So you think travel makes this unsustainable or untenable?
Yes, I do.
Woody Page, how about you?
It's unfair.
Well, I always thought you just left it exactly the way you are, but listening to these arguments, I'm totally with Frank. You just do it, 16 teams each side. Let's make it happen that you have the travel. The only person that travels far by car anymore is Tim Kalishaw. So the rest of us actually take planes and can make that trip, Jackie. It's how tough is it? 3.5, 4 hours to go across country? I don't think it's an issue in a private jet. And let's find out. If you want to, if you're the Eastern Conference, you got to rename the conferences. One, the Fantastic, one, the Farquhar Conference, because they're not any good. I just think you take the best 16 teams and do it.
Okay. Well, I guess the greater discussion here is the split in the conference. Is it just cyclical? Is it something? I mean, if you really look back, let's go back to when the Sixers made the NBA Finals and the Nets made the Finals. That's more than a decade ago now, Frank Isola. And look at who's drafting #1 and #2 in this year's draft. That's the Western
That's the point. These teams that don't make the playoffs are back in the lottery. So Minnesota's got the first pick. The Lakers have the second pick, and they're in the Western Conference. So you
believe this chasm between conferences is going to continue? And Kalishaw, would you agree with that?
Yes. Oh, I definitely will. Yeah, I don't think it's changing anytime soon. That's why they should deal with it on a limited basis.
Yeah, but go all the way back to when the Lakers and Celtics played each other all the time. The East was so much stronger than the West. It was a complete joke. In fact, Bird used to say some of the best basketball they played was against the Philadelphia 76ers to get to the finals against the Lakers.
Yeah, Bird said. What did Bird say? Which one of you conferences is playing for second? I think that's what he said.
Something like that.
We've been horned. We need to move on. Rockets, Warriors now. One question. If you have the supernatural powers to decipher Rod Thorne's explanation why Dwight Howard did not get a suspension, did the NBA do right by not suspending Howard, Frank?
Well, if you look at what happened with J.R. Smith, it's the same exact thing. And J.R. got 2 games. So how is Dwight Howard not suspended? I think there's a lot of gray area now with Adam Silver as opposed to David Stern. With David Stern, it was the letter of the law. Go talk to the Phoenix Suns, the New York Knicks, players that were suspended in playoff series because they were a foot off the bench. Zach Randolph last year throwing a punch. Yeah. How is this any different? It seems like Adam Silver wants to change it.
No, I agree with you, Frank. By the letter of the law and by the way things have been done earlier, you have to suspend Howard. But can I say that if I were in charge of the league, I wouldn't want to suspend Howard for that. I didn't think J.R. Smith deserved 2 games for the suspension he got. But you do have to be consistent.
Okay. Woody, you?
Well, Jackie, coming to this decade, we're not the bad boys of Detroit Pistons. This is an entirely different game now. And the letter of the law is throw a punch. It doesn't say land a punch. You find that for me. So we know what his intent was, what his purpose was to throw an elbow, and it doesn't matter that it ended up being his hand. The intent is as strong as the
Okay, but we're not really getting to the crux of this issue here. The issue is, did the NBA say we need Dwight Howard in tonight's game to make this series go on and make it more interesting? Kalish, address that.
Well, they might have thought that, although I don't think he's going to extend the series. But I think they got it right. I think they're moving away from their suspension happy past, although I realize that past includes late April when J.R. Smith got the same thing.
Okay. All right. We've been on. We're going to take a break right there. Fire cells next. Coming up, the very latest on the thread count of the bed sheets FIFA officials used to hide their faces as they were posted. Stick around.
Ooh, nice.
You know who stopped by the studio today? Larry!
Whoa.
And I tried to take him, I tried to cube him with them and take him to the bathroom. They wouldn't let me.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Buy or sell.
New York 7, Tampa 3. Save your football score jokes, people. Jets and Bucks do not score that much. And now, the two Swedish words in sports. Lundqvist 7. Woody, advantage Lightning or Rangers?
Oh, give me the Rangers. You've got a Lundqvist you talked about that is 9-1 when series are on the line since last year, 15-3 since 2012. They found their line in Broussard, Miller, and Nash, and they had 5 goals and 8 assists. You got to stick with them.
It's advantage Rangers, but it's smaller than Woody's contending. How many of those series had Lundqvist given up 6 goals in 2 back-to-back games? Tampa Bay, neither one of these teams can stop the other one, but the game being in New York, I'll give a slight edge.
So you're giving a slight edge to New York, which you did not do when New York played Washington. You gave a slight edge to the Capitals, I remind you. I stole it. How about you?
Yeah, and the Rangers have played 4 elimination games already this postseason, 2 on the road, and they win every time. So why aren't they going to win at home? I mean, Lundqvist in net, they never lose a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. Chances are it's going to be a typical Rangers score, 2-1 in overtime.
Mike Mullen?
I can understand why everybody's taking the Rangers, but I'm with Tim here. I don't think you blow past the Lightning that quickly. I know Ben Bishop didn't play that great in Game 6, but he has played great for him. And has anybody been hotter than Tyler Johnson? There's a chance for the Lightning. I'm going to give it a bigger chance than Tim. That big.
We have to get to this FIFA bus now. So much corruption. Also, water is wet. The claim that one official demanded a knighthood in exchange for his vote. Another turned in $151 million to lessen his charges. That the U.S. Attorney's Office still uses flow charts like the one you're about to see with dollar signs in the ball. That's good. Also shocking, Sepp Blatter not appearing to be in trouble. Still running for president. Not surprising. What are you buying? What are you selling, Kalish?
I'm buying that this is a big deal, even if it doesn't get Sepp Blatter in any trouble. It's going to hang over him at the very least. Officials like Jack Warner, who was the head of CONCACAF for years, there were charges of corruption against him. He's one of the ones indicted. All the things that have been whispered about this for years, at least they're going to be shined. There's going to be a light shined on.
I told.
I'm buying that the U.S. probably is not going to win a World Cup for the next 100 years. I'll tell you that much, since you're spearheading this investigation. But you know what, Sepp Blatter, you have to cut off the head of the snake, and there's been so much corruption there. The reason they're arresting them in Switzerland is because they're staying at those $4,000 a night hotel suites where they're going to have the election to re-elect Sepp Blatter on Friday. Ridiculous.
Jackie Mack?
Yeah, and that's the first thing I'm buying, that you have to postpone that election until this thing plays out at least a little bit. They've already indicted all these people. Absolutely. How does Sepp Blatter go free here? They had people that have pleaded guilty earlier. They've obviously given up names. Why not the president of this organization? That just seems very odd.
Would everything be off the table for you, Jackie? All the future dates of World Cups and host continents, host countries?
I think you start from scratch. It's pretty clear this corruption runs very deep for a very long time.
And Woody, how about you?
reminds me of a drug cartel or the mafia based on the way they've handled it. We're talking about billions of dollars involved, but I'm going to sell it until you get Blatter. I think you've got a real problem there because he's the root of all the evil here. He is the godfather of the FIFA for 4 terms, and it's about to be a 5th term. That's the serious problem that still exists.
Buy or sell 3 via the Chicago Sun-Times. The Bulls bad-mouthing Tom Thibodeau in exit interviews with players, and the thought they would wait long enough to fire him so that he can't land another job next season, unless they get some draft picks for him in a trade. Kalisha, buy or sell that?
I'm gonna sell what the Bulls are doing. They have no reason to do this. They've had good teams, very good teams, with Tibbs. If they want to blame him for stuff, fine, but don't let him go to another team. Don't try to drag him through the mud here. Don't try to delay it.
But why would you badmouth the coach that was the one guy that beat LeBron this postseason, 2 out of the 6 times they played? Remember something, Jerry Reinsdorf is the owner. He's not giving anybody $10 million not to work. I don't believe that story. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I don't understand, though. I'm selling this. I don't understand why the Bulls. You don't have to like the way Tibbs' style. You might think that they played the players so much. Fine. Cut your ties. Both of you move on. If you don't believe in his ways, then why are you so worried about what he's going to do at his next stop? That seems pretty paranoid to me.
There's no logic here. If you don't let him get another job, you got to pay him that $10 million. If you let him get another job, get a first or second round draft choice, and it takes it off your books of paying him. It's totally not sensible.
Tim Kalishaw, 16 points, first to go. What's the last word?
Well, they say the hardest games to win are the ones right after a Miami Beach vacation. I expect better results.
How was that vacation? Good timing on that vacation. I feel very good.
I felt very part of everything there. It was good.
Stop talking. Paige, I saw the McMullen lightning round next. Coming up. Oh, this is great. The thrill of youthful exuberance. And the agony of old man Perk icing his knees down in the back of your wrist video. Or SEC versus satellite camps. When I first read the headline, I thought it was about space camp. Coaches traveling 50 miles plus for football camps. SEC and ACC say that's illegal. In the Big Ten, coaches can go as far as they want. SEC wants a ban from the NCAA, or they want to start doing it. Either one. Woody, they have beef?
Yeah, I agree with you, though. There is a space camp in Huntsville, Alabama. Let them all go there. Bring all the players in. SEC should just shut up. Stop whining. You got more advantage.
So you're in favor of the rule? You think the rule's fine for each conference to decide? How about you, Frank?
Sure. No, I don't think it's fair at all. This is all about Urban Meyer and Mr. Khaki Pants himself, Jim Harbaugh, coming into the South and getting those players. Why shouldn't the teams from the SEC be allowed to hold camps outside of 50-mile radius? It's unfair.
Jackie Mack?
Well, then if it's unfair, talk to your conference commissioner, vote amongst yourselves, talk amongst yourselves, and change it, for crying out loud, Frank. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, asking the NCAA to do something about it. Or if they don't, then we'll just do it.
Or do it. Skip that step.
Lightning 2, Mike Trout or Bryce Harper? Who you got? The conversation you had a couple years ago, you're having again now. Bryce Harper had it with Jerry Krasnick, ESPN.com, and said he's got Mike Trout, hands down. Frank, what do you think of that?
Well, I happen to agree with Bryce Harper. Mike Trout right now is the better player. But I'll tell you what, the way Bryce Harper is playing, 5 years from now, this argument, there might be a lot more debate if Bryce Harper's on an MVP tear.
Yeah, for the very moment that we're in, you have to give it to Mike Trout. But 4.1 wins above replacement for Harper, that's a pretty healthy number. He's having an unbelievable year. And he's smart, by the way, to say Mike Trout's the best. A little humility goes a long way with the fans.
Jackie, you said he's having quite a good year. How about quite a good 2 or 3 years or 4 years like Mike Trout has had? The Bryce is right. Mike Trout is the much better player when you add everything in.
You know, when you get points, it kind of sounds like Plinko. It's pretty good what he thinks. Jackie Mack?
Yeah, well, you know, I woke up feeling like I was on the moon. I woke up feeling like I need 100 goons. Look at the flick of the wrist.
Unbelievable! You know what happens when that happens?
Look at that.
Enough points to advance. Woody Page just got run out of the program. Just a flick of the wrist is all it took for Jackie Mack. Ice Mack Showdown next. And straight ahead, Cavs. They're slaying celebrations right now. Hey, Kev Love, you having fun? Where are you, Kev?
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
A new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Around the Horn is presented by the latest beer from Guinness. Guinness Blonde American Lager. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
It's Showdown. It's McMullen and Isola. Only time for one, but what more could you possibly want? The Cavs cold tub party, which has just taken over the world and the internet. Frank, for the point for the game, what's your favorite part? Who's your favorite player?
Well, I'm seeing it's got to be J.R. Smith and Kyrie Irving, two New Jersey guys in that pool. But it was cold. It was a little bit of shrinkage. I mean, in terms of where were the rest of the players?
Whoa.
Where was Kevin Love?
Whoa. I am so not going there. Give me Kendrick Perkins in the back. You want to know why they signed Perk to that team? That's why. It was probably his idea to get him in the tub, and he put his old man ice pack on and was grooving down with him.
Okay. Well, a point for the Perk because he was smiling. It was nice to see that. The shrinkage, not going to touch it, but it's what's deciding the game. Isola.
Well, guess what? History was made at Lincoln Financial Field on Monday, and it's got nothing to do with Chip Kelly. Denver won a lacrosse title, becoming the first team, non-team college team from the East Coast to win a national title. And it took a guy from the East Coast to do it, Bill Tierney, the head coach. This is a monumental moment for college lacrosse because we played in places like New York, New Jersey, New England, Maryland, Delaware. The sport is going to grow and grow. Congratulations, Denver. You did something Peyton Manning hasn't done in Denver yet. How about that?
Oh, easy.
Ooh, wow. Frank Isola with a Woody Page-style FaceTime there, huh?
Welcome to the lacrosse capital of the world.
Thank you, Woody. Yeah, that's going to do it. Phone check coming around. And also,